Welcome everyone, my name is Rigel and today we will take a look at what we know so far about the Eurovision Song Contest 2023 as of November of 2022. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, of course, the contest will be held in Liverpool in the United Kingdom. I recorded that video right after the host city was announced, and of course, originally since Ukraine won in May, um, Ukraine was obviously supposed to host the next contest, but because of pretty obvious circumstances, they're not able to do that. So, the runner up of the 2022 contest, the United Kingdom, stepped in to host the contest on behalf of Ukraine. And if you follow my blog, you already know that I actually put out two separate blog posts for the adult contest 2023 and the junior contest 2022. That's because we're getting pretty close to the junior contest now, and there's more to write about. So I decided to pretty much dedicate a new post to Junior Eurovision, and of course I'll do that in December as well. But for this video, we will be focusing on the adult competition, which will take place on the 9th, the 11th, and the 13th of May in Liverpool next year. The Shortly after the host city was announced, they also announced the full participant list. That is the full list of countries that will take part in Eurovision 2023. And pretty much the list is exactly the same as last year, except we won't be seeing Bulgaria, Montenegro, and North Macedonia. You can just check out their explanations for not participating, but basically it kind of boils down to economic issues. So, but North Macedonia does say that they have a view of returning in 2024, so that's nice, and they will also broadcast 2023. While the other two have not said anything of the sort. So yeah, we will be having 37 countries in Eurovision 2023, which is the lowest number since technically it would be 2004. However, 2004 had 36 countries, I think. But I think it was also in 2013, 2013 or 14. I'm not entirely certain. That we also had 37 countries. So yeah, regardless, we're having 37 countries, and the contest will be held in the Liverpool arena. But that's only the Eurovision name. The official name of the arena is the M&S Bank Arena. And as I mentioned earlier in my previous video, that the Eurovision media does not like to use sponsor names to refer to an arena, and obviously M&S is Marks and Spencer, so they wanted to leave that out, and they just used the initial name of the arena, which is Liverpool Arena. So with that said, let's move on to the hosting, because it's not just a solely BBC effort. Because UAPBC actually signed a memorandum with the BBC, agreeing on which parts of the contest they will collaborate on. And two of the main things are, firstly, the selection of presenters. The selection of presenters right here. So I think we can expect at least one host to be Ukrainian. Many are saying Timur Miroshnichenko, but we don't know for sure. And also postcards. It was confirmed that the postcard locations will be locations in Ukraine rather than locations in Liverpool or just the United Kingdom more generally. So I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll be having green screen postcards for the third year running. Hopefully they're better than the mess that we saw in Turin. Can you even call that green screen? No, it's like yeah, no, whatever. It's just terrible. So, yeah, hopefully it's better than whatever crap we got for Italy. And yeah, they also the BBC also announced their senior production team for Eurovision 2023. Which has Martin Green as the managing director, Rachel Ashdown as the lead commissioner, Andrew Cartmel as the executive producer. Now, this role is usually given um, to the head of delegation of the host country, which is the case for Cartmel. Um, he is the head of delegation for the BBC for the UK, and also Lee Smithers as the head of show, who is he's the I think they called it the assistant head of delegation, and he is also the delegation head for Junior Eurovision. But I'll touch on that a little bit more in the Junior Eurovision, what we know so far video. After that, we have Twan van der Nieuwenhausen as the head of contest. He's been fulfilling that role since 2021, and basically what he does is he receives the staging concepts from um, the 37 delegations, and then based on that, he well, chiefly him, but he and a little team will be the ones constructing a running order for the semifinals and the final. So after the countries that qualify get their draw for which half they will be in, and also of course we'll get the running order position of the host country very early on. After Van der Nieuwenhausen gets that. Basically, he, as well as his team, will be responsible for piecing together the running order. So, if for whatever reason you don't like where your favorite went in the running order, basically he's the man to blame. Well, let's not do that. Let's be nice, okay? And also, finally, James O'Brien as the executive in charge of production. Now, not much to say here, except there's actually two James O'Briens. The more famous one is actually a political commentator on LBC, but this is not that. This is some other guy who's been appointed. He has his own studio. I can't remember its name, but yeah, just wanted to say this is not the political commentator. He did not suddenly get a job in producing Eurovision Song Contest. So yeah, and also the logo, I already covered it in the last what we know so far video. Basically is this. You have the Ukrainian flag there, but at the bottom, like below song contest, you see United Kingdom instead of Ukraine because, of course, the UK is hosting. So yeah, I think again, like I said in the previous video, I think it's clever and it gets rid of graphical headaches. So yeah, with that said, let's move on to the participating countries. And like I said, there are 37 countries participating in Eurovision 2023, and immediately when you see here, you'll already find that we have two additional representatives for that will be heading to Liverpool for the country. So the first one is Andrew Lambrew. Now, if you followed the national finals last year, you'll know that, well, this year because we're still in 2022, but for the 2021, for the 2022 season, if you followed the national finals, you'll know that Andrew Lambrew actually participated in Australia this side's 2023, 2022, because he works in Sydney, so yeah, he's Australian but of Cypriot origin, well, Cypriot Greek origin, and then later it was reported that I think in the summer that he was in negotiations to go to Eurovision, but at the time we didn't really know who it was for. But later, of course, it was announced that Andrew Lambrew, who's actually Australian, I must remind you, he's of Cypriot origin, but he's Australian. But nonetheless, he'll be representing Cyprus in Eurovision 2023. Now in Australia, the size, he sang a song named Electrify, which is this kind of I'd call it electro pop kind of song. It had a Spanish verse in it, which I find really random, but nonetheless, he was kind of a fan favorite, but then only got like 7th out of 12. But yeah, regardless, he is representing Cyprus next year. We don't know when the song will come out. We don't know what the style of the song will be like. But without further ado, we also have Mia Nikolai and Dion Cooper, or Dion Cooper. I think it's Dion, yeah. Mia Nikolai and Dion Cooper representing the Netherlands in Liverpool next year. Um, and now, at this point, we don't concretely know um, the name of the song. However, someone found on the song database a certain song featuring those two, named I think it's called "Chasing Highs." Um, so yeah, that might be their song. It was co-written with Duncan Lawrence, who of course won Eurovision in 2019, as well as some other songwriter named Jordan, I think they're called. Um, so yeah, the song was co-written by Duncan Lawrence, and Dion Cooper actually also joined Duncan Lawrence on his tour last year, um, where Dion Cooper basically acted as kind of an opening act. So yeah, allegedly they were actually already selected like 4 or 5 months ago, um, which was actually kind of when the application period just opened. So yeah, there's a little bit of a controversy there, but they tried to explain it, but I'm not sure people buy it. But yeah, regardless, Mia Nikolai and Dion Cooper are representing the Netherlands next year in Eurovision 2023 with the song, well, most likely with the song Chasing Highs. So, with the other countries, I want to talk about some of the main changes that we've seen, some of the ones that have been the most drastically different from the previous years. Starting with Albania, actually, because usually Albania, Festival Ikungus, many people kind of just refer to it as a televised internal selection, because it's always the jury that decides who to go to Eurovision. But this year, they're apparently introducing a new SMS based televote. And in fact, the jury winner will win the festival, but it is the televote winner who will actually go to Eurovision for Albania. Um, the current favorite, from what I've heard, is a certain singer named Fifi, who, if I remember correctly, also actually co-wrote Ella. Cyprus 2022. So yeah, Fifi is the favorite, but another big name is Elsa Lila, who I think already won Festival Ikangas like twice. But yeah, nonetheless, she's returning to the festival in 2023, or well, 2022. Let's face it. But yeah, it's gonna take place in December, as usual. We like to call it Ficmas. So yeah, the names were revealed a while ago. Actually, I think at the end of October. So yeah, the favorite is Fifi, but another big name is Elsa Lila. So yeah, that's a pretty big change to Albania, if I do say so myself. And with Australia, um, they were not actually sure what's going on. Um, some people say they might go for an internal selection, but uh, from what I've heard, the portal for submitting songs to Australia, the site usually, by the time of recording, should have already opened or will open soon. But so far, there has not been a single thing coming from SBS. Um, and furthermore, there are also rumors that some artists like Jaguar Jones and uh, Dreamer, Voyager. I can't remember the band name. Yeah, they were allegedly contacted to submit songs to SBS alongside Dami Im from 2016. So yeah, it could be an internal selection for Australia this year. We're not entirely sure. So yeah, Australia going a little bit different. Austria also going a little bit different. But this time, even though they are still going with an internal selection, um, they have in a way pulled a Czech Republic, in the sense that after they got a vocal flop, they decided that all 15 of their of their selections of their selected singers would have to attend a live audition session, and then that the footage of that session will then be assessed by various Eurovision experts, and then from there, from all the feedback that they will receive from this audition footage, they'll basically choose their representative from there. So, it's kind of the reason I say Czech Republic is because Benny Crystal was, let's face it, kind of a vocal flop. So in 2022, they required everyone to sing live on kind of a live on tape type thing, and yeah, that worked out pretty well for them, and they qualified very comfortably. Now let's see if Austria can do that. Moving on, we have Belgium. Yes, I'm going through a ton of countries. Since this is a separate video from Junior Eurovision, now I could make it a little longer. But yeah, nonetheless, back to Belgium. They're going back to a national final. Yeah. The last one was in 2016. It was called Eurosong, and this one is also going to be called Eurosong. But this time, for whatever reason, each singer has to sing 3 songs, which I don't really know how to think. Why would you do that? And there's also 7 artists, so 7 artists as well. So that's like 21 songs that people have to sit through over the course of, well, 1 week actually. It's the national final is only gonna happen on like 2 weekends, on the 7th and the 14th of January. So yeah, make of that what you will. And so far we haven't heard anything from Luca Kreuzbergs, who was the lead singer of Hurvaphonic, but maybe she will do Eurosong. We're not sure. And also for Croatia, just a quick one. This Dora is still happening, of course, but they're apparently trying to get big artists into the selection. So yeah, make of that what you will. And the Czech Republic is continuing to use ESCZ as well, but this time, I presume also due to funding issues, they've had to scale it down. Originally, it was 6 or 7 artists, and now it's only 3. And the submissions are open until early December, I believe. And with the other countries, Georgia is going back to using a talent show to determine their representative. The previous years, I think, was The Voice of Georgia. I can't remember the exact show, but whatever. The point is they're going back to a talent show to determine their representative. And with the other countries, oh yeah, Estonia got rid of their quarterfinals, so we won't be seeing Estilau start in this month, but instead it's gonna be in January, when we have the semifinals. And one could say the quarterfinals went to Malta, because Malta is introducing quarterfinals into MESC. So there's gonna be a grand total of 40 songs for people to sit through. So yeah, good luck with that. With Norway, the head of delegation did an interview recently, and he said that they're looking at potentially reintroducing an international jury like there is in Melodifestivalen. However, nothing is certain yet. But what is certain is that there will be 21 songs like the 2022 edition, but there will be fewer semifinals. So I guess that means more songs in each semifinal, and maybe they'll get rid of the auto qualifiers. I don't know. Um, and for Poland, there's really not much that we know about so far, but they renamed their national final to Krajowe Eliminace. Um, for Romania, they're still using Selecția Națională, which is their national final. And in fact, Selecția Națională means national selection, but you get it. But apparently, they changed their team, and now the winner of the selection will be determined only by televote. So, in as opposed to last year where it was like I think 1/7. Yeah, 1/7 televote and then 6/7 jury, something like that, or maybe I'm getting it mixed up with Malta, but still, it was a very small percentage for the televote. But they, I think they aim to change that this year, and they also plan to promote Eurovision more and the national selection more. I think I already talked about this, but one main rumored name is what's her name? Olivia Adams. Um, that's just her artist name. Her real name is not so English sounding. Um, she already expressed several months ago that she would be interested in submitting a song. Um, Another singer who had previously expressed interest is Holy Molly, I think. And recently, they announced that they are going to release a collab, and no one knows for sure whether that's going to be submitted to the national final, but we'll just have to wait and see. And for San Marino, the usual. Well, I say usual, but the national finals only been there since last year. But yeah, they're going back to their selection named Una Voce per San Marino. There's not really much to talk about here because the format is largely the same, except they got rid of the whole big artists thing, meaning big artists will now have to go through the semifinals instead of getting a ticket directly to the final. But speaking of big artists, one possible name is Elettra Lamborghini. Um, she's Italian, but likes to sing reggaeton. Um, and she said that she probably won't win San Remo, so she might go to San Marino instead. But yeah, if she does, then maybe we'll see that happen. And with Serbia, some news that I just saw today is that Hurricane actually changed their members, as in they got a completely new set of free girls to sing for Hurricane. And allegedly, this new group is also interested in the Serbian selection for Eurovision. So we'll see what happens there. Slovenia, we don't have much changing. With Sweden, we have a number of rumored names. One of those being Marcus and Martinez, who are actually Norwegian, not Swedish, but nonetheless, Aftonbladet reports that they will participate in Melodifestivalen next year, but we'll just have to see what happens. And if the big five countries plus Ukraine, well, with France, it's weird because usually at this point we would get something about the Eurovision, about their national final named C'est vous qui décidez. But so far we haven't gotten anything, which leads people to think that maybe we'll get an internal selection for France. No one knows for sure, but what we do know is that we will get more details about Germany in the next few days. Now, I'm recording this on the 5th. However, sources online have stated that on the 9th or 10th, we will be getting more information about the German national selection for 2023. What it's going to be named, how many singers there will be, some stuff like that. It's already been communicated to some representatives from OGAE Germany, as well as other Eurovision fan clubs. But for the public, it will only be released on the 9th. So look out for that if you care for Germany. I'm sorry, but yeah. With Spain, we're going back to Benidorm Fest. The participant list was posted in late October, and among them is Blanca Paloma, who was in Benidorm Fest 2022 with her song named Secreto de Agua. Um, but for 2023, she has returned with another song named Ea Ea. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's literally spelled EAEA. So make it out what you will. But she said that the song sounds epic, not in the internet sense, as in actually grand. And stuff like that. And also, it's a love song apparently. So I think that'll be interesting. In case you couldn't tell, I have a little bit of a preference towards Blanca Paloma. But yeah, there's also a bunch of other artists, 17 more to be exact, one of which includes Alfred Garcia, who you might recognize as Alfred from Amaya and Alfred. I believe that was Spain 2018 with Tu Cancion. So yeah, yeah, Benidorm Fest is happening in early February next year, um, pretty much right before San Remo, which is of course the Italian selection. I'm calling it a selection. Come at me, Italians. I don't care. Um, with Ukraine, we're having beer as usual. However, it's been pushed early. Usually it would take place in February, but this year is taking place on the 17th of December with 10 finalists. We don't know who those finalists are yet, but we do know who they could be because recently UAPBC posted a long list of all the potential participants of VidBeer 2023, I guess. And on that long list were several names, including Groot, Jerry Hale, Timber Blanche, and some others that I don't recognize. But yeah, no direct returnees from the last VidBeer. Yeah, yeah, no. Some people were speculating that maybe Roxolana was gonna return. Roxolana who sang "Girls" last year, but no, she did not. She didn't even make it to the long list. But regardless, UAPBC say that the short list will be revealed in I think mid-November, which is of course this month. And we don't have anything for the UK host representative yet, but of course it will be internal and will probably be done in cooperation with Tap Music. Now, with the other countries, let's face it, there's really not much to talk about here, except I do kind of want to briefly talk about Monaco because obviously they're not returning this year, but there's a pretty good chance actually that they might return next year because they're actually starting up a new public broadcaster named Monte Carlo Riviera, I think is called, to replace their old one named Tele Monte Carlo. Now they're using Monte Carlo Riviera, but it hasn't opened yet, so they weren't able to register for the EBU or Eurovision in time. But it's speculated that they might be able to do so for the next contest. So we might be seeing Monaco return in 2024. And also with Kazakhstan, actually, is very interesting because I talked about this on the October blog, but basically, at at the end of this year, they're starting to change their regional dialing prefix. So because right now they actually share a dialing prefix with Russia, which is +7. But at the end of this year, they'll start the transition to 997. Because 997 isn't taken, and the countries surrounding Kazakhstan are all using 99 something. I think Turkmenistan uses 993 or something like that. So yeah, Kazakhstan is starting to transition to using plus 997 instead of the current plus 7. So yeah, that would certainly help for their televotes. If anyone is up watching Eurovision at 2 to 4 a.m. But yeah, that's another issue. But regardless, they say that how well they do in Junior Eurovision 2022 is probably going to affect um, whether they are able to debut in Eurovision 2023. Of course, if they want to debut, they would have to be invited by the EBU instead of being able to just sign up of their own accord, because they're an associate member, just like Australia. So yeah, they could get invited. That's how they get into Junior Eurovision. Actually, they get invited instead of being able to confirm by themselves. But yeah, nonetheless, we could potentially see Kazakhstan debut in Eurovision 2023, especially considering the relatively low number of participants this year. We could get our first ever 38 country Eurovision, because somehow that hasn't happened yet. But yeah, nonetheless, Liechtenstein has given up on the EBU now, so we won't be seeing them anytime soon. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the adult contest happening next May in Liverpool. Let me know what you think of it in the description, in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed my commentary. Subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming What We Know So Far videos and blog posts. And I'll see you next time.